Hey guys! For this video I'm going to talk about the current status of my beloved World of Warcraft, its nostalgia, and the shutdown of the most famous vanilla server, Nostalrius. I'll talk about the Nostalrius private server shutdown and why it gathered so many followers to petition to Blizzard the creation of pristine servers, which are servers that would contain only the so-called vanilla experience. This was a subject widely debated all over YouTube and all of the WoW forums when it happened a couple months ago. But with this discussion I'll also put my opinion out there and talk about why do people want vanilla servers instead of wanting to play the new content. First of all, private servers are illegal. Yes, I know they did not make any profit and their intentions were only pointed towards giving players the opportunity to experience Azeroth pre-Cataclysm. But even with good intentions, the people behind Nostalrius were outside of the law. And when you hit big numbers, such as 250,000 active accounts if I'm correct, the responsible for the property being misused must take action. It is a pain to have your character deleted, even though I believe that everyone knew the risks involved when starting there. Now that I got the legality of the issue out of the way, I must say that Blizzard does a terrible job at maintaining their content. Since Cataclysm, the content of the game has been cut every time a new expansion comes out, and although the price of the game diminishes over time and the first expansions get added with the main game, it still confuses me why the hell does Blizzard eliminate so much good content when an expansion comes out. Cataclysm came out adding revamped zones to the Eastern Kingdoms and Kalendar. Some of these zones suffered massive changes, such as Darkshore, Barrens, Badlands, and Thousand Needles, while some others just had some details altered, like the Hinterlands, the Arathi Islands, and the Swamp of Sorrows. On top of that, it still added 5 new zones to level through, and it allowed the players to fly through the entire continents without a loading screen in between the maps. Besides the Burning Crusade areas, of course. That's a whole lot of new content, right? Well, yes it is, and to be honest, in my opinion, it is better content than in vanilla, because there are a lot more of fly paths, lots of quest hubs with quests to do nearby instead of walking miles without end, and a proper and more consistent storyline. But there were also 2 entire continents with quests and geography of their own that were also wiped out from existence, never again to be revisited. In Mists of Pandaria, challenge modes and the legendary questline with Rathian were also removed. While I understand to a certain degree why the Mists of Pandaria challenge modes were removed, I don't really get why they would remove a vital part of the questline of Pandaria. The same will happen with Warlords of Draenor once Legion comes out. Azeroth pre-Cataclysm could be accessed through the Caverns of Time, and it could allow everyone to experience its quests and to see how it looked like before Deathwing's reappearance. I believe it wouldn't be that much of a trouble to do so. Now, let's return to that bit where I mentioned the ability to fly through the world. Flying on our own, to me, is the biggest deal breaker of this game's immersion. Being the next one the automatic dungeon/raid finder where you get teleported instantly to the raid or dungeon. To me, flying shouldn't be allowed in most areas of the game. It takes away the sense of danger and the purpose of exploration. You fly from wherever you are to wherever you need to be. Got some alliance or horde pestering you on a PvP server? No problem. Run away and fly. They won't be able to stop you, most of the times. What should be done instead was to implement zones where flying was actually required to navigate through the zone. Like a set of high mountains where you need to fly over from mountain to mountain, or a sky city with the same architecture from the Throne of Four Winds, for example. Just not an entire continent where you could fly, because in the end it takes away the chance of meeting other players, either friendly or hostile. And it creates a situation where you simply stop engaging either with the world or with the players. Dungeon Finder and Raid Finder could work simply as you read them. They find you a dungeon group or raid group, and then you must make your way into the raid or dungeon. not have you teleported there right away safely from the city. Before Dungeon Finder was implemented, as well as being able to invite people from other servers to our group, players had to spam trade chat asking for people for Dungeon X or even Raid Y. There was a reputation of players that were decent and those who were not, but most importantly to me was that you had to travel to the entrance of the dungeon and to teleport the other party members. Sometimes there was alliance there and PvP soon followed. I was killed, I bitched on party chat for everyone to come instead of waiting for their summons, and then we zerged the alliance players who were camping the daily dungeon's entrance and we went in to complete it. Make content to force players to interact with one another, to fight over resources, mobs, world bosses, whatever. I don't really care what the objective is, as long as it makes sense in the world for it to be there. These two previous points led me thinking that people possibly don't miss vanilla that much, or at least not as much as they say they do. Classes were terrible back then. A lot of the game's mechanics didn't have a lot of use, nor were they practical at all. What I think that people miss is the game that swallowed them whole for hours without end, while they tried their best to discover every nook and didn't cave, to discover every rare mob they could find, to best those absurd 40-man raid bosses which would then unlock a new area of the raid. Imagine Akiraj, it's a huge raid with a lot of hidden nooks and even extra bosses. So now you can defeat the actual content in looking for raid, normal, heroic and mythic difficulties, which to me don't add anything besides lazy replayability to the game. 3 difficulties are already more than enough, and to me 2 would simply be ideal. In Warlords, gathering materials and other professions were simply butchered by the garrisons. You don't even need to go outside of your garrison to gather materials for your professions, because you have a mine and a garden there, where you can mine your ores and gather your herbs for any profession that requires them. At the beginning we had the mission list that would send players to different zones each day in order to complete an assault that could be fulfilled by various means, such as killing mobs, destroying items, saving prisoners, whatever. With the Hellfire Citadel patch, the current daily objective is now moved to Tanan Jungle with better rewards. They're pretty much the same now, but less diversified, since now there's half a dozen sites to do, while at the beginning of the expansion there was at least a dozen or so more areas. But the thing is, those rewards were not really rewarding, right? They were just a couple of apexes and that's it. Then you could earn while you completed the objectives on their garrison. You could do the invasions, but that's it, I believe. And there were not even raid bosses to do back then. Now there are. So it's lacking some, I don't know, some depth here. There was something that was lost in the way. I'm sure of it, because something did not come right with the daily objectives. I can only hope that in Legion the era of idling in your garrison changes, especially now that they have announced the world quest system. It will probably send a lot of people into the world without the safety of flying, and I believe that players will feel the immersion of an open and dangerous world once more, as it was in Cataclysm and even at the start of Warlords of Draenor. Well, that's my disorganized opinion on the topic related with Nostalrius and the nostalgia topic within World of Warcraft. Again, I know this was made very late related to the date of the events, but I found it worthy to discuss about since it is still a topic debated from time to time. Now I'm out to experience the content of the pre-Legion patch, where all the classes got major overhauls and a lot of stuff changed in order to welcome the coming expansion at the end of August. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.